All right. This country is a landlocked country. What is a landlocked country? A landlocked country is a country that is surrounded with other land countries. They're not on the water. Okay, so Japan, surrounded with water. Korea, South Korea is a peninsula, so it's got water in east, west, and south. China has water all along the east coast and south coast. Vietnam is along the water as well. Some countries don't touch water. That's what they mean by land, the land around you. Lock, it's locked. They can't get to the sea without going through another country. So they don't do a lot of fishing unless they got some really good lakes. So this country is famous for a man that we're going to talk about. It is quite amazing what they do have there, actually. Does anybody have any idea what country I'm talking about here? Or did everybody run away as soon as I said geography?
Everyone seems quiet.
Everybody's angry we didn't have our show last week. This guy, I don't want to give you his name yet, but this statue is amazing. It's 40 meters high. When you come to this, I guess it's a monument, right? You can come inside, you can see people walking here. It's very big. You can actually go up and into the horse, walk through the belly of the horse, and walk up a set of stairs on the back of the horse's head. And what do they call it again? A mane, a horse's mane with the long hair. And the top here, you can see, well, you can't see because I guess it's too far, but I can see them. There's people standing here taking pictures of the valley, of all the land around it. It's a really amazing statue in honor of this man, this past liberator in some ways.
Yeah, I think it's Mongolia.
Yeah, this is Mongolia. And again, it's a landlocked country because if you see here, Mongolia does not hit the sea anywhere. It is surrounded. In the south, it borders China, and in the north, it borders Russia. So in order to get to the ocean, they have to go through another country to get there. That's what a landlocked country is. All right, good. Mongolia. Next. All right, so this is a period in time. A century is 100 years. And by the way, 10 years, see if anybody gets that one. If it's 100 years, we're talking about a century, which lasted, so we want to know this century, okay? So the century, this is the question here. The century which lasted from January 1st, 1200 through December 31st, 1299. Can anyone tell me what century that is? What century would that be? Now remember, just think of the century you're in now, right? The Roman calendar starts before Christ, after Christ, and today we're in the year 2020. So remember, from 0 to 90, the end of 99, that's the first 100 years. So the year 100 is not the first century. The year 100 would be the beginning of the second century, okay? So 1200 to the end of 1299, what century would that be? Oh no, sorry. Yeah, that century. What would that century be beginning in 1200?
Bobby is joining.
Mr. Bobby, I knew you'd love this class. What century, Bobby? 1200 to December 31st, 1299. All the old castle
13th
eras.
century.
Which one?
13th
Yeah.
century.
13th. Don't forget your TH here again. This is the soft TH, not the Z. No vibration, no voice, just blow. Thank you, right? 13th century. That is right. Because at the end of 1199, 12 centuries have passed. So it automatically becomes we are now into the 13th century. Just like 2020 now. We're not in the 20th century. 20th century ended 1999, December 31st at New Year's Eve. When 2000 came around the corner, we began the 21st century. I know it gets confusing sometimes to the students, but you'll get it. And you guys have you have the lunar years here, and you have the Ramadan calendar, and there's a lot of calendars around the world. There's a few other ones as well. Okay, let's go to the next one here. All right, so we were talking about Asia and how much area it took. All right, so there's a word when we're talking about the farmers or of the country, and usually this is all the open areas. I mean, it can be what you buy as well to build a house, but there's a word for that.
Bobby field.
There are fields. You can buy a field, but we don't usually say the fields of the country. That's another word. It means pretty much the same. Except field is definitely an open area. But you wouldn't call a mountain this word. I almost gave it to you again.
Big just joined. Hello, sorry, I'm late.
Oh my God, Big Pig. Unbelievable. Big Pig, what do we call this? The countryside what? You need a lot to farm cattle, for example. It'd be pretty hard to keep 100 cows in your backyard unless you had like this. How would we describe this? Or like this. This looks like a farmhouse too. You got animals and horses running around. Beautiful landscape too, with the foothills here and mountains in here. I did ask a question. I was waiting for an answer. But what was the question I asked a while ago?
10 years.
Yeah, what do we call 10 years? Anybody get that one? 100 years is a century. What is 10 years? It's called a decade.
Bobby countryside land.
Yeah, land. This would be countryside land. Land is the word we're looking for, yes. The land. And often land can be a field. That's right.
Decades.
Decade. Decade is 10 years. Century is 100 years. What's 1,000 years?
Bing. Just joined too. Hello, sorry, I'm late.
Hello, Bing. Don't be late again. Unbelievable. What's 1,000 years? 10 years is a decade. 100 years is a century. 1,000 years is a millennium. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got some land. Okay, this is I wouldn't say a dying breed, but less and less people live like this. These people, now again, we're talking about Mongolia now. This is where we started on our 3 countries in Asia today. Now, in Mongolia, there are a lot of people who don't actually own land and build a house. We talked about land. They travel the land. There's a lot of open area. There's a lot of flat land. There's a lot of mountains to the west. They have the Gobi Desert to the south. So what they do is they keep their animals. They still live very much an old-fashioned style. And these are called jeers, tents that are made at home. And they're really cool. They got little ovens, stove oven, where they can actually put the wood and everything in there to burn, to do their cooking, and to keep everything hot. Everything's insulated. And they got electricity or power pack electricity. It's really homey and really, really impressive how well these things are built. These jeers are built. But the great thing about them is that they can tear them apart in a day, pack them up on their animals, and then move 20 kilometers away, and then set up again to have new grass or new pastures for the animals to feed. And then a few weeks later, they'll move on to another location, and then they'll move to go to a market and sell some of their animals and get some new animals. And this is how they live. There's a word for these people of how they live. People that don't actually have a home, a stationary home. It's also, and one of the stories I want to do soon is about all the deserts around the world. I read a very interesting book on that. And it was a lesson that we ran here before too. And in that lesson, which I will do at some point, there are similar people that move all the time as well. And they're mostly traders. And that's what they do. They make these mobile tents and homes. And they live all over the Sahara Desert in Africa. Anybody know the name? What we call these people? People who move from place to place and don't have one set home, usually carrying their livestock, is what they call it, livestock, their animals.
Migratory.
Immigration, or migrators. Yeah, that's when people move to another country or area, usually country, I think, when it comes to immigration or migration, where people move to an area. But that's usually people that lived here and for some reason they leave and then they make a new home. It's not people that move from place to place to place to place all year round within the same country.
Nomads.
Yeah. Nomads, that's what they call these people. And again, the numbers are going down. More and more people are starting to say, okay, you know what? I can build a house. I don't have to move all the time. So the numbers are going down as far as the amount of people who are nomads. It would be rough for kids growing up with education as well, I would think. And it would be pretty hard to get the internet in the middle of nowhere. So the world is changing very fast, for sure. But there are also a lot of nomad lifestyles in desert areas as well. Nomads, that's what we call these people. And Mongolia is famous for many nomads. Okay, nomads.